I'm going to bring to order this work session meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is October 27th, and first we have a planning item that got dropped off of our agenda regarding the Washington Township Fire Station. Ms. Corselius.
Hi, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a little loud in here. There's literally somebody on the roof and I can hear multiple conversations. So hopefully this you'll be able to hear me. Let's share screen. Okay. So this is the first time you guys will be hearing this. So this is a rezone request. The petitioner is the Washington Township Trustee's Office. They're requesting to rezone a 5.5 acre parcel that is split zone currently from agricultural reserve and pre-existing business to institutional public. So it is an odd little shaped lot off of I-69 in Washington Township. It is addressed off of Chambers Pike Road, or I'm sorry, East Chambers Pike. I did not edit this slide very well. That waiver final hearing is from Plan Commission. So this little parcel, it has changed a little bit with right of way that was taken during the construction of I-69. Most of the site is considered unbuildable, but there is one main section right in the center of the parcel that is buildable. There is a sinkhole feature. Overall, the petitioners are kind of aware that the site is limited, and they have shown a conceptual design of a rural fire station proposed in this buildable area. So during the construction of I-69, this area was used as a dumping spot or a fill dump landing spot for the construction. So current zoning is mainly pre-existing business with a little bit of ag RR. So pictometry photo looking north, you can see the Chambers Pike overpass here. So this is the main buildable area. The pictometry makes it kind of look like it's sloped down, but it's fairly flat here and buildable. So a couple of site photos. This is that main section. This will be looking east in this direction. And this is looking north. So Washington Township trustees, they are wanting to do a rural fire station. It will be fairly small, so the station being proposed at 3,600 square feet right now. The design could change with the commercial site plan filing, but overall, this is pretty representative of what they're looking for. Overall, the review from the highway department, stormwater, and regarding right-of-way and from the highway engineer is that they don't see any outstanding issues, and that the actual detailed proposed construction will be looked at if it gets to a commercial site plan phase. So for the rezone, they had no major concerns. So the rural fire station is pretty small. The trustee, from what they stated, is that currently 89% of the calls that they receive in the area are EMS related. So they stated that the facility would be more focused on EMS response, but would have fire response capabilities. So the Plan Commission voted to forward a positive recommendation with a vote of 8-0 at last week's meeting on October 19th, and staff is recommending approval for the petition. We've received no updates from Monroe County Highway or MS Work Coordinator, so no surprises there. Does anybody have any questions?
My colleagues have questions?
No, I don't. This seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I just have a comment that this is needed up there for a while. They were renting some space on the other side of what is now I-69. to have fire protection. We also know that if some kind of fire station goes in there, that this can impact positively how much people have to pay on their homeowners insurance and things like that. So as long as it meets all the building requirements and things like that, I'm glad that the group is moving forward on putting a fire station up there.
My colleagues okay with hearing this on next week's agenda? We do have another planning petition on the agenda for next week. But Ms. Crecelius, do you feel that it would be important to move forward quickly on this, or can we wait 2 weeks, or what are your thoughts?
I know that the trustee's office is hoping to move it forward as soon as they can. I think there's kind of a tighter deadline with funding for them.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's why I would ask my colleagues, unless they have an objection, we could put this on the agenda for next week.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.
that's fine with me.
Great. If you wouldn't mind putting REZ 21-5 on next week's agenda, that would be great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Appreciate the work. Okay. We have one more item on our work session agenda. The election board, if we could just limit this to new information, that would be useful for us, because we have a lot of things coming. Our meetings have gone long today, but we appreciate your patience, but we do have other meetings that we have to get to this afternoon. So if we could limit this to new information, that would be great. And just a note that the meeting for tomorrow was canceled, but we will be sending out a doodle poll in the next day or so, today or tomorrow, with some more meeting dates. And we look forward to having our next working group meeting. And Dr. Rana, are you speaking today?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Great.
Are you
Good
able to hear me?
afternoon. Yes, good afternoon. Thanks for being
Okay.
patient.
Great. Well, good afternoon. And I appreciate it's been a long morning for everyone, but I think the new information and the concerns that we have are very important for the public to hear. So I'd like to start by noting that I haven't yet received a response to the request that I made at our work session last week. So I'd like to renew the request. The request was that I asked you to clarify what your position is with respect to Clerk Brown's proposal to expand Election Central. And also, if you're proposing alternative plans, for example, satellite location, again, plans to which I've heard no indication about the availability of bipartisan support, that you let us know what the plans are to seek public input on and expert opinion on the feasibility of those proposals and how those proposals will affect access to the ballot for the people of Monroe County, especially those who face multiple and different barriers to access. So I wanted to add today some of the reasons that I think it's important that we get clarification on where you are and how you plan to take voters' needs into account. So first, we know that right now we have bipartisan support for expanding Election Central. We have the unanimous agreement of the election board for this. We have the agreement of the county clerk. We have the agreement of both party chairs. And the only group with decision-making power over this issue whose agreement we don't have is the commissioners. So we wanted clarification on that. Second, as we've noted earlier, the commissioners have made various statements that are sometimes inconsistent with prior statements. Commissioner Githens has noted that at least some of this is because she or the other commissioners have changed their minds over time, which of course is completely understandable and in fact laudable, but the public as well as the election board deserves to know what has changed over time. Third, another reason is that there's been some backtracking. For example, at least two of the meetings we had, the commissioners indicated that you were going to allow Election Central to expand into the first floor of the building. However, then at our working group meeting last Monday, you said that when you said the whole first floor, you meant the whole part of the first floor that Election Central currently has, not the whole first floor of the building. And I'm paraphrasing. So if we are going to have to finally parse what words like whole or floor mean, then I think it's imperative that the commissioners are as clear as possible about their position so that there's no confusion, especially because we have members of the public watching and attempting to understand what they're hearing and what the proposals are. So we really owe it to our voting public to be as clear and forthright as as possible. Fourth, another area that is constantly shifting is the issue of timing and what is possible as the election grows closer every day. I note that earlier this week, the Herald Times quoted Commissioner Thomas as saying, and this is the quote, in some cases, no matter how much we support an idea, we may not be able to create space with a few months' notice. This doesn't mean a proposal isn't worthy, it just may not be possible, end quote. So I think we all understand that that is the case. And since we also know that opening satellite locations is a long and detailed process under the best of circumstances, I wonder and wanted clarification then on why you keep suggesting that satellite locations be opened in time for the next election. We know that time is short. We know that we do not have the bipartisan support needed to open additional satellite locations right now for early voting. And we also know that satellite locations have already been exhaustively discussed between the parties for years with no resolution. So I'm wondering if you could clarify what you think has changed that will steadily make bipartisan agreement on satellite locations possible. And then even if that does happen, how we will be able to conduct equity analyses and other processes and then be able to open up satellite locations in the short months that remain before our next election. Fifth, I think finally what is most troubling at all about the repeated suggestions for satellite locations is that opening satellite locations is not something that a community or an election board or a county clerk can do on a whim, where someone just suggests a location and poof, we're able to make it happen. Rather, the appropriate process, and I think you heard some of this with the civil rights attorney from the Lawyers Committee this morning, is that the appropriate process for proposals for satellite locations or new voting locations are supposed to be carefully analyzed and provided to the public. So for example, what impact will a particular location have on different people's ability to vote? How accessible is it for people with mobility challenges? Where is the equity analysis that explains what the impact is? Who will be disproportionately affected by opening or not opening a spot? How easy is the satellite location to find? How easy is it and how much time do we have to let voters know that new locations exist? None of that discussion has happened, and it is crucial. So I think it is important to discuss if we're truly interested in opening these locations for future elections, as opposed to running out the clock without meaningful change, that it's important for us to discuss all of these concerns and how to move forward in a way that best supports the voters of Monroe County. So on that note, I have to step aside for another engagement, but Clerk Brown has agreed to step into my place, and so I will turn it over to my colleague. Thank you.
Good morning. Can everybody hear me?
We sure can. Do you have anything to add?
I just want to very, very briefly say that the Chicago Lawyers Committee has requested a response as to why we haven't moved forward with an expansion of Election Central. I can't move forward, of course, for an expansion without you. So I just want to dovetail what Professor Rana just said so that we can get closer to getting those answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Clerk Brown. Appreciate you. Thank you for being patient and hanging with us today. We've had a long meeting. I just have a comment to make, and then I'll turn it over to Commissioner Giffens, and otherwise our work session is closed. I just want to note that there's suddenly been put this burden on us to try to figure out public input on proposals for satellite voting locations and studies and things like that. That is not our job. We have one job related to this, and that is facilities, and that's what we're working on. And we're looking forward to the next working group meeting, and hopefully that will be the last we'll need. So I don't really understand why we're suddenly being tasked with trying to determine the best place to open satellite voting locations. Just as it's not easy to figure out where to open satellite voting locations, it's not easy for us to just magically make space appear. We are looking forward to the next working group meeting, and we're hopeful that we can make some more progress and hopefully get moving on this information. We had to cancel tomorrow's meeting, so we're going to send out a poll today or tomorrow and try to get another meeting scheduled as soon as possible, because we do have to move forward with this, and we're doing everything we can in our power to do so. And with that, Commissioner Gittens.
Yes, I had requested several weeks ago to have a firm accounting of exact space that's being used right now, whether it's for different storage, whether it's for training, whether it's for the machines. I wanted to know where things are being stored, how much space is being used, how much space is needed for different activities. And I'd asked for that in a written report. And if I have missed that, would you please, Clerk Brown, please resend it to me? Because my life is like yours. It's all very busy. So if I've missed seeing that written report, please send it to me. If that has not been done, would you please send it to me? It is crucial in my decision making for all these things. So
and I'll say none of us have that. So please send it to all of us because none of us have that yet.
Right. And that's all I need to say for me to, because I am trying to work with you, but I need that information.
Excellent. Okay, thank you so much. Commissioner Gittens, did you want to add anything else, or Commissioner Jones?
No, not at this time.
Great, thank you. Thank you all so much. And we're going to adjourn this work session. We will be back next week for our regular meeting. With that, everyone, thank you so much. And we are adjourned.